Hello everyone. Today we are going to do human brain, and that is the most complex part of the nervous system, or we can say our body. And it is divided into two main parts. First is central nervous system. It consists of brain and spinal cord. And the next one is peripheral nervous system. It consists of three type of nerves. These are spinal nerves, cranial nerves and visceral nerves. The spinal nerves, they are arising from the spinal cord, and cranial nerves are arising from the brain, and visceral nerves are the nerves which control many of the activities of internal organs like heart, kidney, lungs and glands, etc. So you see how the communication between the central nervous system like brain and spinal cord and other part of the body is facilitated by the peripheral nervous system. So which consists of mainly cranial nerves arising from the brain and spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. The brain thus allows us to think and take actions based on that thinking that is done by different parts of the brain which are responsible for integrating different inputs and outputs. Okay, this way the brain is helping us how the information it is collecting and how it is making the commands, etc. But we have to see how this all is done by brain. So we just have seen that human brain is so important, so complex and so delicate. So it is protected very, very carefully, and first of all it is surrounded by it is located inside the skull of our body at the top of the spinal cord, and it is protected by a bony box in the skull that is called cranium. You see cranium here. You see cranium here. Okay. And the brain is surrounded by three membranes, and these three membranes here you see inside the cranium there are three membranes, and these membranes are called meninges, and which help to protect it. And the space between these meninges is filled by the space here. You see the space here. You see the that is filled by the cerebrospinal fluid, which protects the brain from any mechanical shocks, and it keeps the brain moist as well. So what is the cerebrospinal fluid? It is a colorless alkaline fluid present in the brain and spaces between the meninges. Okay, so this way now we have to see the what are all parts of the brain. So brain is broadly divided into three regions, and these regions are forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain mainly consists, here you see the forebrain is here, and it mainly consists of cerebrum. It mainly consists of cerebrum. This whole part is cerebrum, this thing. You see, this is cerebrum, and the midbrain does not have any parts. This very small, significantly small part we call midbrain, and the hindbrain consists of three centers, and these are pons, cerebellum and medulla. See, this is pons, and this is medulla, and here you see this is cerebellum. And this medulla is the continuation of spinal cord. Medulla is continuing in the spinal cord. Okay. So here again in the forebrain, it includes mainly cerebrum and olfactory lobes. And because this cerebrum is not just single part, it is divided into several regions, and it is the largest part of the brain. Specific regions in cerebrum for each kind of stimulus and response, and each kind of stimulus, like the stimulus coming from the eyes, stimulus coming from ears or from skin. So these are their different lobes, and these are occipital lobes, that is for sight, and temporal lobe for hearing, that is for auditory reception, and frontal lobe for speech, facial muscular activities like frontal. Okay, and parietal lobe for taste, smell and touch and conscious actions. And there is also this olfactory lobe is also there, that is for smell, and it receives impulses from the olfactory receptors present in our nose. Okay, so now we see the function of forebrain. Function of forebrains are mainly the learning, reasoning and intelligence, memory as well. learning, reasoning, intelligence and memory. All our thoughts, sensations, actions and movements, all our thoughts, sensations, actions, movements are controlled by the cerebrum, because we have seen that many the temporal lobes, frontal lobes, parietal lobes, occipital lobes. So what are their functions? They're giving us sensations. They're sending our all the sense. They're sending messages from all our sense organs to the brain, and there are association areas where information is received from sense organs like ear, eyes, nose, tongue and skin. So these are like for eyes it is photoreceptors, for ear it is olfactory receptors, for skin it is thigmoreceptors, or it also controls the thermoreceptors, and tongue is for gustatory receptors for taste, and nose there are olfactory receptors. So there are in cerebrum the control centers for thinking and memory, and their motor areas as well, from which the instructions are sent to the muscles to do various type of the voluntary movements. Okay, this way we have seen how cerebrum is so helpful. Its functions are so important, and now we have to see how cerebrum control the voluntary actions. Okay, so this is one of the very important part, that cerebrum is controlling all the voluntary actions of our body. So it receives sensory informations through the receptors. Okay, then it interprets that information in the light of previous experiences, and then it take actions. Again, it then send out the instructions to the motor areas so as to make voluntary muscles move. In this way, the cerebrum is responsible for controlling all our voluntary actions. And next part is hypothalamus. It is located here. You see, this is hypothalamus. This is hypothalamus. Okay, this hypothalamus is actually connected by a stalk with the pituitary gland. Okay, so that we will be discussing here. So the hypothalamus is also very important. So it is a part of the forebrain, and I have written here that pituitary is attached by a stalk to the hypothalamus region, and main functions of the hypothalamus are: it is the control center for hunger, thirst, fatigue, sleep, body temperature, sweating and emotions. These important functions, these are controlled by our hypothalamus. Suddenly we started feeling hungry. Suddenly from nowhere we start feeling we are thirsty. So these all are due to our hypothalamus. And it also, one of the main important part of this hypothalamus is that it secretes neurohormones which regulate the secretion of anterior lobe of pituitary gland. Okay, this is also very important part. This way it is also controlling the pituitary gland, which is our most important part of the nervous system. And many of the control centers, like many of the glands are functioning because of the command or due to the pituitary gland. So next is our midbrain, and midbrain I told you that is very small, and it is here. You see, midbrain is very small here, and the function of the midbrain are it is very small, so the functions are less, but we cannot say that these are less important, but they are important, but the functions are few. So it is the control centers for many of the reflex movements of like head, neck and trunk. Okay, and it also controls the eye movement, like the reflex movements of the shape of the eyelids. Like while looking into the things, we have to adjust our eyelids, shape of the eyelids, and it also controls the reflex movement of eye muscles, which help in giving us the power of accommodation. And so we can see the faraway objects, we can see the nearby objects as well with the same eyes, and it also helps in changing the shape of the pupil size. So that's why it is also helping in controlling the amount of light entering the eye. So this way the midbrain is also very important. And you see in a brief way we can say the reflex movements of head, neck and trunk, and the it controls the shape of eyelids and reflex movement of eye muscles and controls the size of the pupil. Next is our hindbrain. You see, the hindbrain consists of our pons, cerebellum and medulla, and pons is just regulating the respiration. Respirations means the respiration at the cellular level, or to produce oxygen, to produce energy with the help of food and oxygen. And the next is cerebellum. Cerebellum is responsible for our posture and balance of the body. Cerebellum is working properly, so that means we are able to stand erect, we are able to walk properly, and so that's why it is also helping us in the precise movements of like walking, dancing, riding a bicycle and picking a pencil. Okay. So next part is the next part of the hindbrain is our medulla, and medulla it controls various involuntary actions as heartbeat and breathing and blood pressure and peristaltic movement of our alimentary canal, and it is also helping us in, it is the control center of the reflexes like coughing and sneezing, vomiting and secretion of saliva, etc. This way it is also very helpful for us. There are many very important, actually all parts of the brain are very important, all the cells, each and every cell is very important. That's why its structure and functions both are very important. We have to study it carefully. And again, we can have a small brief of this hindbrain function. So pons is doing respiration, cerebellum having for the balance of the body, and medulla which will continue posteriorly into the spinal cord, and medulla controls the various involuntary actions. You had seen that the cerebrum is controlling the voluntary actions, and medulla is controlling various involuntary actions which are not under our control. These are heartbeat, and these are automatic functions. These are heartbeat and breathing and blood pressure and peristaltic movement of alimentary canal. These functions we are not regulating on our will. These are controlled by medulla, and this way we have seen that our brain is so important, and it has lots of functions, and so you try to learn everything. I have given notes as well. So thank you.